Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So what's on tap for today? Well, we've got another great reaction video from our friends at the Young Turks, who I affectionately like to call the Yellow Turkeys, or by their other nom de plume, the Young Jerks. Anyways, this reaction video is basically about when Ann Coulter was canceled at Berkeley. So we're going to get to that in the next few seconds, but before we do so, we just want to let you know that you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Nasir. We'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us. Hit that notification bell. Put your comments down below. Let's get to the video because guess what? Ann Coulter lives rent-free in Cenk and Ana's head. Let's get to that video right now.
Out of her speech at UC Berkeley, and there is a lot of context and background to this story. Now, she was initially scheduled to speak on April 27th, this Thursday. However, administrators and officials at the campus decided that that was a bad idea and they would have to reschedule to May 2nd because they didn't have a proper venue on campus available to ensure that there would be enough safety. Now, of course, there have already been threats of protest because people don't want to hear her speak. They believe that her speech is hateful, which, by the way, I agree with. She has questionable speech, to say the least. But nonetheless, it is a public college campus that is funded by taxpayer money. And this school does have an obligation, a constitutional obligation, to allow her to speak. Now,
So before we go any further, okay, that's nice. I'm glad that the Young Turks have at least the brain power to realize that it is a constitutional obligation because it is a public entity, a public school getting public tax dollars, and so that they have to make every availability be made, basically, for a speaker to come in without fearing for their life or the life of their students. You know, they have to be able to provide security and protection, you know, for this. So that's kind of good in terms of where the Young Turks, the Young Turks, you know, accede to that. Let's continue.
She did not want to speak on May 2nd. And the reason why is because that is referred to as RRR week at Berkeley. That's the week before finals where students don't have class. And so her concern was, my guess, I don't want to speak on that day because no one's going to be on campus, which I think is a legitimate concern. Now, I also think it's a legitimate concern to make sure that it's a safe environment, and there have been instances of violence while these protests have taken place in the past. And so look, here.
And Ana, why don't you just say that all these have taken place on liberal leftist institutions, primarily colleges and universities? It has never happened at well, there are no conservative universities other than Hillsdale College. I don't know of too many other conservative colleges or universities out there. But why does it always seem to be on these public campuses? And it's always being done by leftists, by progressives, you know, by socialists, by Marxists. Just answer me that question, Ana and Cenk.
Here's my argument. The threats of violence shouldn't even exist, right? The reason why she's not able to speak on the 27th is because they're worried about security. They're worried about people doing something violent and people getting hurt. And so it's a legitimate concern, but it's super frustrating that it has to be a concern. Who cares if she has stupid things to say? Let her speak at an empty auditorium. This is leading to more attention that she shouldn't be getting.
So I don't quite believe the administration when they say, oh no, we moved it to the week where there's no classes, because then more people could attend if they wanted to. They didn't even say, they didn't even have the nerve to say more people could attend. They were just like, no, it's fine, it's fine. You know, less classes could mean that more opportunity, and they should be busy studying for finals and on campus anyway. Yeah, no, they moved it so that it would be less people on campus. I get that, right? But that's not the only reason Ann Coulter objects to it. She also objects to it because objecting to it creates more conflict. And she loves conflict.
Right.
She bathes in conflict, and that's her whole thing. And that's part of why we're so—
As if you guys don't?
Frustrated with the people protesting, these Nemos and Coulters and et cetera, because You're giving them what they want.
Yeah.
They want attention now. Every newspaper in the country is writing about Ann Coulter, and she thinks, thank you, anarchists of Berkeley, for giving me all of this free publicity and making me out to be a victim and a hero of free speech.
Yeah, and they love making themselves out to be victims. Okay, so let me be absolutely clear about everything involving this story, because there are all these nuances and caveats, and so I want to make sure everything is represented appropriately. Now, she was invited to speak by Republicans on campus, okay, a Republican organization on campus, along with a nonpartisan organization on campus. So there were two organizations on campus that wanted to hear her speak. They invited her, okay? So a liberal viewpoint is not the only viewpoint that's represented or should be represented on that campus, okay? There are diverse groups, and if they want to invite someone to come speak, they want to hear her speak, she should be able to speak. I don't like her, I can't stand her, I have no love for her whatsoever, but that doesn't mean that my preferences should dictate who is and is not allowed to speak on a college campus. Now, Coulter said Wednesday that she is canceling her planned speech because she had lost the backing of conservative groups that had initially sponsored her appearance. Now, they ended up pulling out because they were also concerned about the safety of individuals who would either go see her speak, the safety of Ann Coulter, and the concern that the protest could erupt in some sort of violence. Now, Young America's foundation will not jeopardize the safety of its staff or students. That was a statement from them. Also, the Berkeley College Republicans, which invited Ms. Coulter and was supposed to sponsor her visit, also backed out and joined Young America's foundation in saying the atmosphere had grown too hostile.
Let me step in there, because Young America's foundation is perfectly happy with Ann Coulter's speech. They finance it in a lot of ways, and they support her. Those Berkeley College Republicans love to stir up trouble and are happy to do all this. So why do they even pull out? My guess.
Oh, those Berkeley College Republicans, those fascists, those Hitler Youth. I mean, Cenk Uyger. Oh, those Berkeley Republicans. They're just, they're just causing trouble all the time. I mean, let's continue.
Is, and this is not in the stories, but my guess is that when Ann Coulter said, hey, I'll just do it in Sproul Plaza in the middle of everyone where you can't possibly have enough security, so we do know that part. I think that they probably thought, oh, just to get more publicity, you're willing to endanger all those people's well-being, including our staff? No, then we're not gonna back you, Ann Coulter.
Yeah.
We were ready to back you, and we were ready to do all these lawsuits. And if you wanna sue them and get a better speaking spot, et cetera, we're on your side. But you wanna endanger everybody's safety so you can grab a couple more spotlights? No, we're out. Maybe I'm being too kind to those conservative organizations, but that's my best guess as to why even they pulled out from supporting Coulter.
Well, that was my read of it as well. And so I want everyone to understand that I'm not backing Coulter because I support her in any way. I want you to understand that I know what her agenda is. You guys know what her agenda is. It's not really.
Just like we know what your agenda is, Ana. Just like we know what your agenda is, Cenk. Just like, guess what? Everybody knows what my agenda is. It's to basically show that you guys are a bunch of freaking hypocrites. Because this would never happen to you guys at all. I would be absolutely shocked and amazed if one of you were invited to speak at a university and you had to cancel because they said that there's no way that we're going to allow Ana or Cenk to speak at a public venue. And your safety would be of concern, the safety of the people that would come to hear you listen, hear you speak, would be of concern. I don't think that's ever going to happen. It doesn't happen from the conservative side.
Really about valuing free speech. It's not really about, sharing her ideas and her perspectives. It's about doing anything necessary to be in the headlines to get the attention that she craves so desperately. This is a strategy. It was a strategy by Milo. It's a strategy by her, and it will continue to be a strategy by conservatives. So we need to be smarter in responding to that strategy instead of giving them exactly.
True, because you guys are stupider for the strategy that you're employing right now.
What they want, which is the attention and the headlines. We need to ignore them. If you want to protest, that's fine. Make sure it doesn't erupt into violence, because if it does, then they can go ahead and say, oh, liberals aren't for free speech. We need to pull government funding from these institutions, right?
Yeah,
just let her speak and just ignore her. The only reason why she's relevant is because people make her relevant.
Yeah, look, you want to protest Donald Trump, he's the president of the United States. That makes a lot of sense. We got to do that, right? Because he actually has power. I wouldn't even protest Coulter and Nemo. Because if you don't, only 3 people will show up. They're not.
You have no idea what the hell you're talking about, Cenk. Ann Coulter goes, she sells books and, multi-million dollars in terms of, book sales, all right? Every time she sells books, people want to read. They want to hear her ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. You write a book, hey, if you can get the same amount, the thing is, Cenk, is that, you're probably a little bit, envious, jealous of the notoriety, the fame that Ann Coulter gets. And that's okay. You shouldn't be. You've got a great, avenue for you to spout your ideas out to the public, to everybody. Let Ann have her public space. You've got your public space. I've got my public space. Everybody's got their public space. Let's compete in that arena, and let's see, whose ideas, come out on top. But that's what we need to do. We need to discuss, all right, instead of, all the time just, now you've got an opinion. I've got an opinion. We'll put those opinions out. Sometimes we get a little, like I said, affectionately, the young Turks, the young jerks, okay? But a lot of times your opinions are kind of out of the mainstream. Anyways, let's continue.
Remotely popular.
No.
It's so, you're making them into much bigger deals. So it's a terrible political strategy. That's number one. Okay, number 2 is, you're wrong on the substance. Look, I know it's frustrating. So, for example, Anna had a big speech in Colorado pulled by the board of that university. They're rich, they're conservative, and they didn't want a liberal like Anna to speak. So they just pulled her. They said, oh, she's against Trump voters. Yeah, what do you think? Ann Coulter says that she's against the.
No, I didn't know about that, but if that's what happened, I am completely against that. So, okay. You know what? I'll give that one to you, Cenk, and to Ana, that if that's true, and okay, I have no reason to doubt you. You're saying that I'd like to know a little bit more of the background of that, but that's something I'm going to have to investigate myself. But like you said, college or someplace up in Colorado, it's kind of strange because, Colorado is pretty liberal. But anyways, that doesn't mean that there aren't some vestiges of conservatism at, colleges, universities. But if that is true, then I would basically be saying exactly the same thing. I would be saying, you know what? That's not what should be happening. Now, they canceled her. Okay, but I don't think there was any threats of security. They decided that they just didn't want her to speak. Now, that's a different story. You know what? If you didn't invite someone in the first place, nobody knows, nobody cares. But if you did invite somebody and then you decide to cancel because then you said, you know what, you were getting back some feedback, that is completely wrong. We should not be doing that from our side.
The Browning of America. She's against all brown people, perfectly fine. Let's give her a lot of money to speak at Berkeley, right? Liberals say, hey, maybe we've got an issue with Trump. No, pull the speech. Is that frustrating? Yes. So they have state power oftentimes. In that case, they have institutional power, right? And they do that in the middle of the night and nobody does a protest over it, and that's that. So do we get that it's frustrating? Yes, it affects us.
Yeah.
We're super frustrated by that. But the correct answer to that is not violence. So you got to let her speak. Let the 3.5 knuckleheads in their bow ties and go listen to her and and do whatever they do. Okay, but when you threaten violence, you lose the moral high ground. Not threaten. There's been violence at that campus. And by the way, it's very, very likely not Berkeley students. Yes, it's more likely to be Black Bloc and anarchists, et cetera, that are in the area, right? So don't put it on Berkeley students. But whoever it is that's doing it, totally against it because you don't prove anything by it. It's immoral to begin with, and it's look. I'll go further. I think it's un-American because the third part of it is.
Wow, there's a concept, Cenk, violence, un-American. But listen, buddy, I agree with you here. We're in complete agreement. So why don't you speak to those progressives that are on your side, those BLMers, those fascists that are out there, those socialists, those Marxists that continue to do this thing? Why don't you, you know what I'm saying is reach out to those people and plead your case to them and say, hey, look, protest, but keep it civil. Don't be violent. Come on, Cenk, use your power, buddy.
You're not gonna lose a debate to end COULTER.
Right.
So she just says, oh yeah, brown people suck, white people are awesome. Yeah, we beat the Nazis, it's okay, we'll beat her too. And all she has is a microphone, and you only make her microphone larger by doing ridiculous things.
Yeah.
It's like she almost couldn't pay you to get her better publicity, right? So if all she had was her stupid, antiquated, racist ideas, she would just drift into the dustbin of history where she belongs.
Also, let me give you guys a quick example, right? Where's Milo, right? I wouldn't talk about him on the show before because he desperately wanted the attention, but now he's gone. Like, no one talks about him, he's gone. Why? Because he basically kicked himself in the ass, right? He talked about how pedophilia is okay in gay relationships on a podcast, and his own speech essentially made him irrelevant, right? People kind of woke up and realized what kind of person he was. Gone, he's gone. He's not making a ton of money writing a book anymore. He's not getting the support that he was getting before. So basically what I'm saying is, if someone is hateful, believe it or not, that hate speech is protected by the First Amendment, okay? And if an institution is receiving government money, they are a public institution and they have a constitutional obligation to allow that person to speak. Let her speak and let her get herself into the trouble that we know she's gonna get herself into.
Okay, last two things. One's about Nemo.
Why do you keep calling him Nemo?
Because I don't want to give him any more attention.
Yeah.
And half the time they'll Google.
It's why I keep calling you Cenk the Junk, right? The Young Jerks. The same reason. Very affectionate. You know, come on. We're all big enough, all right? Come up with something for me.
Nemo. Okay, anyway, so I told you he has no audience. I told you, right? So they pretend to be huge, and then when you protest them, they seem like they're bigger. But it turns out when people pulled his book deal and he's off of Twitter, well, okay, if you had a huge audience, it wouldn't make a difference. He'd be on YouTube, he'd be on Facebook, and everybody would be watching him and hearing him and be like, oh wow, well, let's share his ideas. Those are really interesting. Let's share his videos. Let's share his articles. Where are you, Nemo? I can't find you, right? That's because he never, ever had an audience to begin with. It's 7.5 hateful dudes that spend most of the time masturbating in the basement, okay? So once you expose that, he's got nothing left. Just keep ignoring him. And lastly, on Ann Coulter, I debated her, right?
Yep.
So all she does, if you actually have a free exchange of ideas, is embarrass herself. Go watch it on YouTube. You almost want to avert your eyes at times when she says that stupid, outrageous things. But more importantly, she, in the beginning of the debate, almost accidentally admitted that it's just entertainment. That's what I was driving at. Do you really mean it? Or can you possibly mean these outrageous things? Or is this to get attention? And she said something to the effect of, why do you guys take it so seriously? So it is entertainment. It's all one giant shtick.
And it's made her wealthy, right? And so what you need to do is not play into that and do not give her what she wants. I get it, she says things that are offensive and it hurts people's feelings. But the reality is, whether you're on a college campus or out there in the real world, you're gonna run across so many assholes, so many dicks, and so many people who are gonna offend you. You don't have the ability to stop them from speaking.
Wow, Anna, you went there, huh? You went with the A word. You went with the D word. Oh, wow. You know what? Some people could think that, you yourself are an A. Some people could think that you're a D or a C or whatever, right? They could all think that. I mean, I think it's pretty, like I said, when I call you guys the Young Jerks, okay, we're playful, a little comedic here, the yellow turkeys. But I mean, to go to the A word, the B word, the D word, the C word, I mean, my God, Anna, wow, you went there, huh? You went that far. Wow.
Yeah. So Alex Jones and Coulter, all performance artists. Let them do their performance art. And when no one shows up, then they'll be gone. That's a much better way to go about it. Let's go. Come on. We're the good guys. We believe in nonviolence and we believe in the First Amendment.
Anyways, folks, just to finish this thing up here. I mean, look, the whole premise of this is that I would say in 99.99 instances, when conservatives or anyone deemed to be conservative or Republican wants to go speak at a college university, a college campus, you always have some type of protest against those people. Somebody goes there pro-life, you've got some protests. Protests are fine. The situation becomes is, why is there almost all the time that 99.99% of the violence is happening from the left, from the progressives, from the socialists, the Marxist side on the universities and college campuses? Why is it happening there? Why don't we see the young Republicans groups? Why aren't they out there, burning and looting and throwing bricks through windows and breaking cash machines and Molotov cocktails and those kind of things? How come we don't see that happening from the Republican or the conservative side? Hey, if you've got proof of that or you can show me that, put that down in the comments. Let me know. Anyways, we thank you for watching. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Like I said before, comment below. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left or progressive, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.